Hey guys, Danny Bird from Bayou Bushcraft and Survival. Want to shoot a real quick video on the K-bar. Now I touched in a video prior that I posted up on how a K-bar is a very good knife for bridging the gap between survival and bushcraft. And I went into some depth on the differences between bushcraft and survival, so I'm not going to touch on that here. This particular setup, for example, is the K-bar. This K-bar right here is a Valor-made K-bar. And I just want you to note that these two together, this fire kit, which I've done in a video, and this knife on your belt does not scream anything offensive, aggressive, or tactical. It looks like you're into camping or bushcraft. It could be your hunting setup. It doesn't alert or alarm anyone. They may notice it, people might see it, notice it, but they're not really going to focus on it and pay a lot of attention to it. At best, somebody will say, hey, great K-bar. So, and we all like compliments, right? So, I'm going to drop the fire kit and I want to talk about this particular K-bar, for example. It's made by Valor, made in 1971 to 72, which means it would have been made for the Vietnam era. And this is an aftermarket sheath, and the reason why it's in an aftermarket sheath is because it was purchased from an antique store that gets a lot of their merchandise and items from estate sales. So this was probably some vet's knife, and it's been well worn and well used. The knife is still in great shape. If you notice on this aftermarket sheath, because when I bought the knife it didn't have a sheath with it. It comes with the top retention strap, as all K-bar sheaths do, but I added a second one. I did that for a specific reason. If you look at Vietnam era photos of guys carrying the K-bars, you'll see some with a knife like this, whether it be a K-bar or other knife, and that's because when you turn this knife upside down and it only has the one retention strap, if anything hits that, the knife falls out of the sheath and you lose your knife. So to keep from losing the knife, a lot of guys wore it vertical, like so. What I did was I added another retention strap. Now it's adjustable, you can move this either side you want. I put it on this side so that it's on my right hip usually. So when I come here with my hand, I hit both of those and the knife come out, provided you clear both snaps, okay? And it's just a little bit of extra security. So while I've got it out of the sheath, this is the knife, and it has the leather stack handle with the grooves in it to help ensure a grip. Now I'm going to tell you something right now about K-bar and leather stack handle knives. They are slick and smooth when they are dry. For whatever reason, the leather gets easier to hold the knife, especially when you're trying to do some kind of transition from forward grip to reverse grip. If your hands become wet or the handle becomes wet, for whatever reason, it seems to be easier to hold on to. So what I did was I made a modification with my K-bar made by Case XX. I didn't do any modifications to this knife because, like I said, this is probably a Vietnam era knife and it was probably used by a Vietnam vet, and I just don't want to do any modification to it other than touch up the edge a little bit. That's all I've done. So let me put this knife in the sheath and get the other K-bar that I did show in that video, and that's this K-bar right here. Has a traditional leather sheath. You see it has the one retention strap. Now what I did on this particular knife, in those grooves, I used number 21 washers, rubber washers, from the plumbing section of your hardware store, and I put those inside. I slid those over until they filled the grooves, and you would not believe the amount of difference that makes in the retention of this knife when it's dry. As I told you before about how smooth and easy it is to lose a knife going from one grip to another. It changes everything with these rubber O-rings. I did not come up with this myself. Wish I had, but I didn't. Tanner from Prepare Mind 101. He's the one that posted the video and put me onto the O-rings. And one of his viewers, he didn't come up with it. One of his viewers came up with it, messaged him about it. He tried it, and it made a difference to him as well. So really appreciate Tanner putting out that video. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on my knife now. But I won't have these taken off, I can tell you that much. It just feels too good without it. I mean, with it. So the K-Bar is a great knife. I don't think you can go wrong. And you're going to spend $100 on any good knife for a survival bushcraft knife. And that's where the majority of your money should be spent, in a survival kit. It's a great defensive knife. I mean, it was designed for fighting. Yes, they did intend it to be used as a utility knife as well. But just remember, and I touched on this in that other video, so please watch the other video. It is a rat tail tang. Although you can, I've seen them baton through some hard woods. It's not the knife that you want to use for heavy batoning. So I'm going to do probably a short, or at least another short video on making trap triggers, tent stakes, and light batoning with the K-Bar. So if you like K-Bars like I like K-Bars, you're going to want to stay tuned, watch for new videos. There will be some posts coming up about it, and we'll put the knife through its paces within reason. Okay, within reason. Remember, a knife is not a pry bar. Can some knives double as a pry bar? Yes, they can, but they should never be used as a pry bar if you can get away with it. Do you need to baton wood for your fire every time? No, you don't. You do absolutely do not. There are times, I think Canterbury calls it the one-stick fire, and that's where everything around you is saturated and wet. The wood is wet. There is no dry wood around for you to use for a fire. That's when you're going to take a log of whatever size you determine, whatever's available, and you're going to split by batoning that log into small, thin, small pieces, because inside that wood, that log, that stick, is where it's going to be dry, or at least drier, so that you can do some feather sticking, make some small shavings, and then you can get that fire with a spark from a ferro rod. That's when you baton, okay? If you continue to baton hardwoods, especially with a rat tail knife like this, all you're going to accomplish at some point is you're going to break that knife. So, there's a saying, I'll bend down real quick. There's a saying, 1 is none, 2 is 1. I always believe that 3 is better. So, don't carry one knife and depend on that one knife. Have a backup. So if I've got one of these on my hip, the other one's on my pack or in my pack. If one of them breaks, one of them gets lost, whatever the case, I have a backup, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hey guys, there will be more. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. You don't know what I went through to make this video possible. The interferences are just unbelievable. But we're going to get past all that. So guys, like, share, subscribe. And Danny Bird from Bayou Bushcraft. And remember, keep the fire lit, guys.